Today I'm going to show you how to do a drag and drop making meaning assessment to assess your students on their comprehension using the story It's Mine by Leo Leone. It's going to be worth 4 points because they're going to tell me about 4 different characters that were in the story. I've enabled submissions so students can send me their work. I put the category as making meaning to go along with our CCC curriculum. And then I've just put it as the test grading period for right now because it's just in my sandbox practice course, but when it goes into my actual class, I'll put it as the trimester. And I'm going to go ahead and save this and then get started on setting up my assessment for the students. Inside of my setup for my assessment, I'm going to give the students some instructions, and I have some in Loom and I have some from YouTube that I'm going to use that has an animated version of this story that makes it a little bit more exciting. So if I go into my Loom recording that I've already made, I click share, and then if I click embed, I can just literally take it right from Loom. You need to make sure that you click fixed size and then copy code. If you do responsive, it doesn't work. I'll go back to Schoology and I'm going to paste in my video with the instructions, and then I'm going to paste in just the story from YouTube. And I'm going to do the embed code again and copy it and paste it in. And then all I've done to paste it in is I've switched it from the visual to HTML. So when I switch it back to visual, 2 yellow boxes will appear with my 2 videos. I can drag them if I want to make them the same size to make them look nicer, or I can just leave them so they're the same size as when I pasted them in. And then when I'm ready, I'll click save. Assessment setup's complete. I'm going to set up my question to do my drag and drop assessment. And the drag and drop one that I'm going to use is label image, not fill in the blank drag and drop. So I'm going to do label image. And then for my question setup, I can add info or a video later if I want to. For right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload an image, and it's going to be an image that I'm going to take a screenshot of. That is an assessment I would normally use in the classroom that I got on Teachers Pay Teachers. So here's the assessment. I've got it on the page that I want where they're telling me about the different animals talking in the story. So I'm going to take a new screenshot of it. It definitely doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and then I'm going to save it by right-clicking on it. And then to my desktop, I'm just going to save it as It's Mine. Now when I go back into Schoology, I can upload the image that I just took the screenshot of. So you're just going to click OK, and then your image will be in there, and it's already got some text in there to help students. So for It's Mine, we need to have the animals that we're talking like people, and we need to show the main characters in the story. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to go to that YouTube video that I showed you earlier and take more just screenshots of the different characters in the story, and then I'll label them with their names. My next step is going to be to open up PowerPoint so I can save these as images. So I'm going to import all those pictures I just downloaded and then add labels with their names on them. I'm going to adjust all their sizes so they're generally the same size, but it doesn't really matter because you'll adjust them again once you get into Schoology. And I'm going to add a title to each one of them so they all have names. And now I'm going to go ahead and group them together by clicking on the image, holding down Control, and then clicking the other one. I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to click Group. Then I'm going to go ahead and save this as an image. Now I'm going to go back into Schoology and I'm going to add some response boxes and add all of those pictures that I just created. So I'm going to make the response boxes and I'm going to put them in this box here, and we're just going to do an image instead of doing image and text because it'll be less things for them to sort. And in order to make this box a little bit bigger, I'm going to keep adding all of them, and then I'll go and edit all of them down at the bottom so that they're a good fit for the picture. I've got all 4 boxes in there, and if I go into my settings for my response boxes down here for additional setup options and click here, if I do add, I can actually adjust each response box in the side. Okay, 300 for each one, so I'm just gonna make them all boxes. And the response box corresponds with the response box that are up here. So these ones haven't been adjusted yet because I still need to adjust them down below. So I'm going to go ahead and add 2 more, and I'm going to make them also squares. Now I'm going to add my possible responses. So if I click here, I get a possible response, and it looks like you can really just do text, but you can actually do all of those images that you just created on your computer. I'm going to do some that are correct and then some that are incorrect, so my students can try to match the right ones when they're doing their drag and drop. So now we've got the character Milton. I'm going to make the biggest part of the box 300 so it works with the ones I just made. It'll adjust it over here. So there's Milton. I'm going to add another option, and I'm going to add another picture. And I'll keep going until I've added all of my pictures. Now that I've got my response boxes in and got them at the right size, and I've added all the pictures I want to use for my drag and drop activity, I'm ready to set up the correct answers. And these correct answers could really go in any order, and it can get pretty crazy trying to set up all the different options. So what I typically do is I just set it up with a partial match for this one, and I go in and edit their scores if they're a little bit off afterwards, but I just make a couple versions where I've got them all mixed up so it can be as accurate as possible. Without the sun and the moth because those were not main characters. And so I'll just keep adding other options for alternate responses and have them in different orders, so Lydia won't be the first one every single time. So I'm going to add a learning objective. So I'm going to go to Common Core, English Language Arts, first grade. I've got my learning target added, and my last step is to add a video explaining how to do this up in the question setup. I'm going to do it very similar to how I set up my video before. I'll just take a Loom video with this setup with the preview on. Do it right here. So I would show the students how to drag and drop and do one example and then save their work when they're done. The last piece that I'll do is just add in that video from Loom the same way. I'll do an embed code, and I'll just switch over the source and paste it in here so that they can have the video. The It's Mine drag and drop assessment will look like when my students view it. So it'll have the title up at the top. It'll have my instructions for what to do as they're listening to the read aloud. It has the read aloud, and then they'll click start attempt down here. And then when they go in, there's a video that I've embedded of how to do the drag and drop activity. And then here are the boxes we made, and then the students can drag the characters into the correct boxes to show me that they know who the main characters in the story were. And then when they're all done dragging and dropping the characters, they'll just click review and finish, and then that will be sent to the teacher.